you came in and you were just sitting in a corner waiting, and nobody knew why. Nobody really cared because everybody kind of comes and goes there for the most part. At
And it
least we
takes a
did.
lot to get me here. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
very easygoing person.
And then when he came in, the one manager, once he finally got back and caught his flight, you went off. I mean,
Yeah, I went
you
ballistic.
you tore, and I'd never seen that before, and I don't think Lady had either. And
No, probably not. I
I
don't think she's seen it since either. I haven't seen it since.
and you didn't care that anybody else was there. It was me and the operator from housekeeping. Do you remember that she was there too? So we were looking at each other as you were just tearing him a new one. Hi, thank you so much for tuning into the Inhospitality podcast, where we discuss everything about hotels and hospitality from the inside out by those who actually make it happen. I'm your host, Ty Justice, and today we have a very special guest who couldn't be here because she's now out of state, but Miss Allison Feller.
Woohoo! Crowd goes wild.
Always. So,
Always.
Allison, you and I worked together at the Hollywood Hotel during some of the most chaotic times that hotel had.
I hope that I was a part of that chaos.
You
too.
absolutely were. You were there to
Good.
replace somebody, though. You replaced the pervert manager I talked to with Cinda previously.
Oh, I was trying to figure out who that was, but that makes sense that it was before my time. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad. I hope I filled his shoes well.
Yeah, definitely one pervert for another. You were a manager, of course. You got there probably
I
about 3
started
or 4 months.
November of 2021, I believe.
Okay, yeah, he had only been gone a couple of months. I forget when I started there. I think it was like June-ish, midsummer, or at the end of summer. So I hadn't been there too long by the time you got there. But you and I always got
Yeah.
along pretty well. We had a specific type of humor. I think that suited us both, and then we kind of clicked that way because it was
We're both a little bit
dark.
older and jaded, I feel like, than some of the other people we worked with. They were young and still fresh and new and bright-tailed.
I don't know. I don't know how much younger some of them were. We weren't all that. We're all kind of close. Well, I think one of them was like early. She was kind of like 20 or 21 or something like that. But the rest of us,
Oh my God,
I think
yeah.
the rest of us were just kind of new to the. It's a completely different monster. That hotel specifically is completely different. So we had that to commiserate with. But yeah, tell us a little about yourself, where you came from, and how you got into hospitality in the first place.
So yeah, this is definitely going to explain why maybe in my mind I'm very old in hotels. Keep in mind, I'm 36. So I'm really not that old.
Right.
But I started working in hotels when I was 21. And within like 6 months, I was the general manager.
Where was this? What state? What state?
This is in Troy, Ohio. It's north of Dayton, Ohio. And it was the Comfort Inn and Suites.
Oh.
We were the #1 hotel. Thank you very much.
In Dayton, Ohio.
Up in Dayton, Ohio, in Troy, Ohio. You know where Lima, like from Glee, where they base it from?
Oh, yeah.
Troy is right in there. So that show hit a little different because I was like, oh God, this is where I am succeeding at business.
Oh, gosh.
I started there, and then I worked at extended stays with Marriott. I've done a couple of different private hotels, some luxury hotels, historic hotels, and all of the hotels. So I started really early, and I started in leadership really early. So I think by the time that you guys got me as a manager, you got like the tail end of it.
We got what we got.
Yeah, you got a body that showed up sometimes.
Right. Well, you were there. You were there all the time until the end when stuff just started going like off the rails even more. But that had to do with other management coming in and just being really bad at their job, to be honest. To be just
I don't know
completely
about managers
inconsiderate.
coming in. I think it was more about the leadership up top and the managers that were already there.
Well, I remember at the end when a certain overnight manager came in and started making your life kind of hell, and that
oh
whole
my God,
fiasco.
that really had nothing to do. Like that was just me being a brat. I hate him so much.
Well, the thing is, though, what he was doing was a pretty, and he's still causing trouble from what I hear. If he's still there.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I'm so proud. Yeah, he's really moved up there. Speaking of moving up, failing upwards.
Yep.
I got to that part of the episode from last time.
I gotcha.
Yeah, hate him. But
Oh
him
man.
not being dealt with, like
Yeah.
him not being, I sound like a hitman, being taken care of. But the management not doing their job, and it was the thing that got me. The ones that came in,
Right.
he could have been anybody, and I probably still would have hated them.
Well, no, I mean, well, there were very specific things that were done that were kind of understandable.
Oh, my
Thing,
last shift was me covering a 16-hour shift because he called off.
and
My very last shift working there
and that
was,
wasn't the first time you did that either.
oh, absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
And that's why I was like, I'm having a good day.
No, I remember that, and it happened. And I've talked about that before, and I think we should be more specific now because there's a lot of general things that we understand because we worked in hotels and hospitality that the general public usually doesn't know. But I think in any managerial position, if you don't have coverage or you don't have somebody to take over, whether they be subordinates or other managers, you have to stay until the job is done or until you get a replacement. And sometimes that's a whole shift, two shifts later. So you were there for 16 hours sometimes because your replacement overnight manager, because you usually worked PMs with us. Well, you were back and
Yeah.
forth, but you worked a lot of PMs with me and my crew, the rest of the crew. Yeah, he did that a few times, but you caught him once. You caught him once, and because he made it.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. Tell the story.
hold on. Hold on.
Mhm.
I did not catch him. He caught himself. Thank you very much.
Well,
No, like I literally, okay, so here's the picture. I was working the PM shift, whatnot, will not, and he called off. And it wasn't just like calling off, it was I missed my flight.
yeah.
I'm stuck at somewhere, who knows? So I get stuck there. I'm the only manager, and I lived around the corner. Like, don't get me wrong, I walked into a lot of those situations by not being a jerk. But I was like, let me run home, let the dog out, I'll come back. And then that night, because I'm trying to stay awake because it's the overnights, I was on Instagram looking at like everybody we work with Instagram, and
Stalking.
he had
Yeah.
posted some story. I have no idea. But social media is not real. You can post things that you're in Paris and you could be in Cincinnati, Ohio. Like, it was just social media. He came in the next day and blew himself up because he reported me to our manager that
Without
I looked
discussing
him up
anything with you
on
first.
like
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
And that was like my final straw. I'm like, no. I don't cover your shifts all the time for you to come cry to mom. Like,
Well, the missing chunk of that story is that what you saw on Instagram belayed his lie about him missing his flight because he missed it on purpose. He purposely didn't come back and kind of left you holding the bag. And that's why you kind of, and from what I remember, just so people understand, you talked to him first. You're like, dude, what's going on? And
oh,
then
I hadn't
that's what
even,
pissed him off.
yeah, no, the problem was he didn't even message me.
Mm,
He messaged the manager, our
yeah.
manager, and she messaged me. And so that's when I came back in with a ball of fire
Yeah.
to him. And then I did the dumbest thing I've probably ever done in my career.
Made him fear for his life. I was there that night, so I remember that.
I
So
think I feared for my own life.
I mean, what happened was like, yeah, you caught him on Instagram posting about where he was, and there was a timestamp as
And then,
to
yeah, get caught. I don't care.
yeah,
But I didn't tell our manager. I was not going to. I was
no,
just going to make his life hell.
yeah, just by calling him out on it, going, hey, because you would tease, you know what I mean? We would all kind of tease each other every once in a while, but I think you meant it
Yeah.
more as more of a tease than anything else, and he got really offended honestly because you caught him. That was it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't again, this wasn't the first time he had done that. Oh, I missed my flight from wherever I'm, my little week long vacation. So sorry guys. And it
Yeah.
was the exact same excuse the second time or third time. I don't know how many times he had done it before then.
He's just a baby. He's a baby manager, and you become reliable, and you know, be
Or
somebody
you
you can count
don't.
on.
Yeah.
That kid just he was not somebody I could count on, and screwed me over one too many times where I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you, and you're going to know it.
But the thing was, it was how you came at him. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
you
So
so you
well.
you messaged him going like, "Hey, what's up, dude? I thought you had missed your flight." He goes to our front office manager because you were an assistant manager, correct?
So she was the front office. I was front desk.
Your front desk.
But
So
yeah,
that's
it's assistant. It's
she was
assistant
your
FOM.
she
Let's
was
be
yeah.
real.
Yeah, assistant FOM. You were an assistant manager. She was the front office manager. So
Yeah.
you went to him directly, which is a mature thing to do. You went him and just like you didn't even call him out like, dude, what's your problem? You're like, I thought you were blah blah blah, and more of a tease than just to kind of like call him out. But then he goes to you, goes over your head, does not respond to you. And I've had this happen in my property now where somebody's done that, and it's infuriating. And he made this
Yeah.
whole federal case about it, and he
And then I gave him more firewood.
then she came after you and is like, "What are you doing? You can't do that. You were like." He was like, "You were stalking him on Facebook." He made it sound horrible, because the little coward. Sorry, the little guy
I don't think
got
I
ticked
knew
off.
that. I don't think I knew that he said I was stalking him.
Yeah, he made it seem like it was kind of more of a federal case because she came after you and said, you can't do that, and she was kind of you got a little reprimanded for that, and then
Yeah,
you
and
came
I was
in.
like, it's a social media. It is a public forum. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't set to
if you
private.
don't want someone to look, make it private.
Yeah,
it's really that simple.
He didn't. I know he didn't set his Instagram to private. Let that be a lesson, folks, for your
Never
management
cheat.
team. Not to,
Just so you know, person you were talking about, never cheat on somebody and post it on Facebook because
Yeah.
they're gonna find out because it's public.
but no. And then, well, the funny thing was about that is, you mentioned your dog. Lady is this wonderful dog. I mean, I've said it before in joking text, half joking, that I tolerate you. I love your dog. Lady is.
She's amazing.
She looks like a pit bull mix, but what do you think she is?
Oh my God, I got it. I did it for Christmas.
What her
Hold
DNA?
on. Her DNA.
Oh, we're gonna find out what she is, and you got to text me a good picture so I can show the people what we're talking about.
Oh, the cutest dog there ever was.
She's adorable.
So she is Australian cattle dog most. And then she's got a border collie, bulldog, pit bull terrier, Australian shepherd.
Oh.
So yeah,
She's
I'm really sad
amazing.
that she's not anything Dalmatian, but I'm still going to tell the lie that she's a poor man's Dalmatian. I'm sticking to that.
Yeah, there you go, people. You add all that together, that's what you get. No, but Lady's amazing, and everybody would bring their dogs into work, which is what I loved that. Even the manager
It was the best part.
Even the manager we're talking about that, or the other assistant front manager that messed you over, even he had a dog, a beautiful big dog that he would bring in that would shed everywhere. But I love that dog. That dog was great. But I remember the reason I bring up Lady, your dog's name is Lady, because
I forgot that she was there.
Yes, I know you did. So. The
No,
way
like, I literally just now, as we're talking about it, just remembered that she was there.
Yeah,
I was
because
like, oh, God. And you took her out of the room.
I did. I carried her like a baby, and your dog weighs what, 60, 70 pounds?
She's a lady. You don't talk about that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. She weighs about 60, 70 pounds. But
she's a feather.
She's but she's not fat. She's just a bigger dog. She's a larger dog.
Yeah.
But she's amazing, and she's really chill. She's got a lot of energy, but she's still chill. But I noticed she was getting uncomfortable because now let's explain this to the audience because we're saying it because we have a point of reference. But at the end of my shift, at the end of one of my shifts, it was my last week there. I didn't care at that point. I was still doing my job fine and everything like that. But we had the one manager who everybody wrote because he was drunk on shift. This isn't Fifth of Scotch manager. This is the other temporary manager from Task Force who is a manager at temp agency.
Love him.
He was there that night but you came in when it wasn't your shift, when my shift was, the PM was ending and the overnights was about to start. And you just kind of came in, you were a little off. And I'm like, all right, cool. You brought Lady with you. You were dressed casually. I think you had a Hawaiian shirt on.
Probably. I dressed like an absolute homeless person.
So it was so
fit
funny.
in Hollywood. I dressed the part of the locals.
That's right. Yeah, you fit right in. Just lay down on the street. But
Yep. Comfy.
you came in and you were just sitting in a corner waiting, and nobody knew why. Nobody really cared because everybody kind of comes and goes there for the most part. At
And
least
it takes
we
a
did.
lot to get me here. Like, I'm a very easygoing person.
And even if you get dark, it's more of a snarky dark humor.
Yeah.
But I saw them push you there a few times, which says a lot about that place. And so you're just waiting in a corner. Lady was there, and then when he came in, the one manager, once he finally got back and caught his flight, you went off. I mean,
I went ballistic.
You tore, and I'd never seen that before, and I don't think Lady had either. And
No, probably not. I don't think she's seen it since either. I haven't seen it since.
And you didn't care that anybody else was there because I was in the room. And I wasn't just like peeking from, I was literally around the corner because in that office, there are 3 offices plus all the PBX operations. It was me and the operator from housekeeping. Do you remember that she was there too? So we were looking at each other as you were just tearing him a new one, talking about how dare you go to my boss? You didn't come to me. And I've had these conversations with coworkers before too. So don't think that you're alone in this. In my property
And
now,
this
I've
is
done that.
not the first time. Like me and him
Yeah,
had discussions. I was like, hey, that's just not
not
like if
cool.
you want to make it in this world, that is not how you treat your like fellow managers.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and it was really heated, really uncomfortable. Lady was pacing back and forth. I got her in my arms because I think out of everybody there, I would always take
Oh,
a
yeah,
special
she
interest.
loved you.
Yeah, she's my girl,
Like
and
she loves everybody, but like she wanted to be your French lady
and she was.
so bad. Yeah.
She's amazing, and I got her like a baby, and I was just holding her, and I took her out of the office for a little bit, and because even the operator from
Like yeah.
housekeeping, even that
People
Matt,
heard it.
she
People
was
heard
she was
it.
uncomfortable. We were looking at each other like, oh crap, what is going
Yeah.
on? What is happening? And then it was one of those things where it brings out the a little anarchist in all of us because we're like, we want to leave, but we want to see how this goes. Or I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if she's gonna punch him, and it felt very
Oh my
much
god, I'm
like.
way too much of a pussy to punch. Like put me in a fight situation, I am fetal position crying 100%.
But it seemed, I mean, you would never guess that from that one, that heated discussion. So she
Yeah.
left, and I stayed there because of Lady. And I'm like, okay, there was somebody at the desk anyway. So I'm like, okay, so I stood there with Lady. I think he was. That's why he didn't see it. Was the temp, the one-time drunk manager who was the temp from Task Force. He was out front watching the desk, and I was just, I think I was on my break or
He was
something like that.
long gone before that.
No, no, he was there.
Wait,
He would no, he
was
was
it the
there.
second one?
He was
It
there.
wasn't the guy from New Year's.
New Year's. Is that the crazy one that got escorted out by
Yes.
security? No, 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 not him. No, I'm talking about the guy with the little French bulldog.
I forgot.
He was
Yep,
from
he was
Chicago.
there.
He
He
was
was
Chicago.
totally there.
Yeah, he was there. So
Wow, I just
I
have like blacked this moment out. It was bad. It was super bad. It was like Real Housewives flip a table bad.
oh, the real front desk agents of Hollywood. But that was, and so I picked her up and I took her out, and he's like, you can't take her to the desk. I go, "Dude, fire me. It was my last week anyway. It was my
She was
last
at the
Tuesday.
desk all the time, by the
Yeah,
way.
she was, but I was holding her in my arms because she was, getting uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and because she'd never really seen that before. But I finally put her back in the office, and I had to leave because it was the end of my shift. So I'm like, man, I really wish I could stick around and find out how this ends.
It was
But
like a solid 45 minutes.
yeah, and I was only there for about 15, 20 minutes of it, and then I was gone. But after that, I'm like, I was wondering too. I'm like, are they going to fire her for that? Because it was that intense.
I
And
definitely got reprimanded.
yeah,
I definitely got in trouble
do they write
and got
managers
called
up?
into HR.
Do they write managers up too?
Um, I mean, I'm sure they do. They didn't, I can't remember if they wrote me up.
Hmm.
I don't think they did, mostly because why it was 45 minutes and why it escalated so much is there was so much more than just like that one last shift and you going to the manager.
Hmm.
And I had no remorse at all. I was just like, nope, I have seen you guys do too many things in this hotel with other said managers and other departments and employees. And I was like, I'm not apologizing for this. Like the standard needs to be brought up and not down to these people.
Yeah.
So they didn't write me up. But shortly afterwards I think we all knew I was done at that point. Like I didn't want to be there. I didn't care if I got fired and
Yeah.
they knew that.
Well, how long after
So
that? I quit. I was done that week, and the reason I was done that week was because, well, not the reason I was done that week, but I only gave them 1 week's notice because
yeah, because when did you leave? I left in September, so whatever that. Like, I don't think it was a long time.
I left in August. I left at the end of August because
Yeah, so it wasn't
because
long.
I had another job set up that was going to start right in the same week that I got like 3 days off, and then I started my new job at the property I am now. And I didn't give them enough time because I didn't give them 2 weeks, which they didn't deserve, because we had a concierge, a new concierge. We had two there for a while. And he had given them 2 weeks because he found a better job. He found the hotel that I am at now. I followed him to the one we're at now in Santa Monica. And he,
Is he still there?
yeah, he is. He is. I'll
Oh,
send my best. And he's great, but he was wonderful there, and he's trying to get more hours, and they messed him over because he was at another hotel. He was doing two jobs at once. Again, working two jobs in hotels at once. He was a part-time concierge at the Roosevelt, and he worked at another hotel in another position. And he told them, like, they're like, we want you here more. We want you here more. He's like, okay, well, if I quit that other job, please
That
give me
position
more.
just wasn't developed either. Like, talk
No,
about management not being ready for what they're doing.
no, no, exactly, especially there. But he goes, okay, fine. So he quit his second job, and as part-time concierge, he's like, okay, well, I'm ready for you guys to give me more hours. They never did. So, and then they just kept stalling and stalling. They're like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna give you more hours. So he went fine then and looked for another job and got the one we are at now, and it's full
He's doing
time.
amazing.
He is. Well, the thing with that is he gave them 2 weeks. And they're like, okay. And they just didn't schedule him those last 2 weeks. And it's almost like they fired him
Did they
immediately.
really? I
Yeah.
don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. That's why he told me that. I'm like, what? So he told me that he gave them 2 weeks and they just didn't schedule him. They're like, all right, fine. We'll get you. And they're like vengeful that way. And I'm just like, what a bunch of jerks. So once I was on the schedule for sure for the week, I'm like, all right, guys, it's my last week. Have fun. I'd been done for a while, but I was waiting until a better job came around and I found one, luckily. And if you know and here's something that I was told, once you know the operating system that most hotels use Opera, which is a hotel operating system. Once you know that system, you can kind of work anywhere. As long as you don't screw your coworkers
you don't
over
even
too
need to know
badly.
that system. If you know how to smile at somebody and be a decent human being, solid.
After
I can
COVID.
teach.
After COVID.
Yeah.
Before COVID, it was different. I had my first property. I had to interview 4 times with from two assistant front desk managers, the head of rooms, and then the head of HR. I had to really have in-depth interviews with those people, and then they called me back a month later.
That's a different level of hotels. Like, you got to think about the small guys too. Like, I think that's the weirdest thing about when I came out to work in Hollywood. Is it's a completely different ballgame out in LA.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was Beverly Hills. Yeah, it was Beverly Hills, LA. And I always say this. I'm glad I got my training there because it was solid. And I'm glad I didn't get it because it was terrible. My God, they don't train you for anything there except bad behavior. How to drink on the job. You know those memes or those videos like, what did you learn from this new job? And it's always people like, I learned how to drink. That's what they taught me how to do. But
yeah, I don't
one
think
of those.
I literally. So I was downtown Cincinnati today walking around, and I was just I saw the local bar across from the hotel, and I was like, that looks like an industry bar.
Yeah.
It looks like a good time.
When I decided to do this show, when I decided to do the podcast, I kind of knew it was going to be a good idea because every step of the way, from the moment, I decided it one night, the next day, one of the revenue guys at my current hotel says, I have a check for you. I'm like, what? All right. Because the night before, I'm like, okay, I'm going to need a little extra equipment, this and that. And the check he cut for me because of incentives that we have at the hotel. And every time somebody says something good about you in a TripAdvisor review, which is great for employees at a hotel, they give you a certain amount of money. And it backed up for months but when he cut me the check, it was the exact same amount I needed for for some of the audio equipment that I needed to get. And every step of the way after that, whenever I needed a piece of equipment or something, it would come my way. I just automatically. That's why no matter what, I was like, I got to do this show because I think the universe is pushing me in that direction off this cliff. So it was that was kind of heaven sent. I was
kismet.
It's kismet, exactly. Because I'm also in the process of writing a book about my experiences in hospitality as well. I just wrote the foreword to it a couple of days ago, so that's going to start. Now that has started, and it's going to be very.
I was just saying,
cathartic.
have you read any of the good ones?
There are very few good ones that aren't very corporate minded. Heads and Beds, I think, was one of the best.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Heads and Beds.
Heads and
I
Beds.
love that one.
And his book was a lot about close encounters, but not really interacting on a personal level with a lot of celebrities, women. Mine's a little different. Mine's going to be a little salacious at some points, but at the same time, just and a lot of that was the thing about the podcasts too, and video stuff and YouTube about hotels. It's all from the perspective of HR and how to get. And I'm just like, that's not how hotels work in the real world. Any hotel, from a Comfort Inn to a 5-star hotel, they don't work like you think they do, and they all work the same. The thing is, they all are understaffed. Everybody's stressed out. Nobody's scheduled right, and nobody in hotels ever has a set schedule. If you're a union hotel and you have seniority, that's one thing, because in the hotel I am now, it's a union hotel. So the guy that's been there the longest, right, has his schedules, gets weekends off, does only the mornings. But for the rest of us, it's all kind of catch as catch can.
Well, it's also just very like hush hush. Like no one talks about that
Yeah,
stuff. It's very old Hollywood, and that's across the board, like the nation.
yeah.
I mean, do you think it's really that much of a coincidence that the writers in Hollywood had a strike, and now there's the hospitality strike? Like,
Yeah, well, we started first. We did ours first before the writer's strike.
yeah,
UPS was going to strike as well. And the fun thing is, during our union strike, UPS told us that they strike in solidarity in a certain way. So they will not deliver packages to your hotel if your hotel is visibly striking.
I
So
would, as a manager, I would absolutely die.
it was amazing. It was
Like,
amazing.
oh,
Like we had so much support throughout the industry. This was the year of the strike, or 2023 was the year of the strike. Every
I
major
love
industry
it
felt like it.
because it is
Oh,
such an unsung like industry.
yeah,
And I think it's funny also to see the celebrities that are coming out about like we won't say who, but like sexual harassment of their backup dancers.
yeah, yeah.
Well, also you were really wretched in hotels too. Turns out when
it's
you're a
about damn
wretched person,
time.
you're just a wretched person.
It's about damn time. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Thank you. Thank you.
But no, no, it's true. Hotels never get a lot of the attention or the spotlight when it comes to abusive employees. This is my therapy and my revenge.
Right?
It's
Like we can't afford it.
right, exactly. It's crazy because so many of the hotels just love, and that's why earlier I said pre and post pandemic how it's different because
It's wild. It's
yeah, it's
wild,
the
wild
wild wild
west, I
west.
feel like right now.
Yeah,
Like and the guests have no idea because they
mm,
just come in and expect the same exact thing.
yeah. But we're understaffed. We're under supplied. That's the thing too.
Oh,
That was hotels. That was hotels before the pandemic too. Because at the it would take 6 months to get specifically embroidered sheets that we needed there, and you have to order them, and they're expensive, and of course hotels want to save as much money as possible, so they it's like pulling teeth to get the supplies you need. So housekeepers are always just like, and I said this before, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Every department
oh yeah.
does that. So like it's hard for them, and they're embarrassed because here's the thing, I'm proud of the people I've worked with in the past at specific properties, especially housekeeping, because they take a specific pride in what they
Oh, I
do.
love housekeeping.
And people think a lot of times, well, that's a lowly department, because they're changed. But these people, these
First off, that's
folks,
the ideal department. You have to deal with the guests.
the people that do it a lot of times, people that are making your beds, changing out your sheets, cleaning your room, vacuuming, these rooms look pristine every time, and they've been slept in thousands upon thousands of times, and they work hard and they take pride in what they do, and they do it well. And if you don't
They
give them
do
the
it
proper
so well.
if you don't give them the proper supplies, a lot of times, sheets with holes, sheets that have dry blood on them. I know this sounds gross, but we get complaints all the time about that because it happens, because management does not want to put that in their budget sheet. They don't want to continuously buy more stuff, and then ownership's going to be pissed off because they're trying to save as much money. And after the pandemic, what happened was a lot of these companies realized that they could survive on a skeleton crew. And I've said this before, this isn't
Oh,
new. And they've tried to hold on to that with a death grip. But the additional thing I was talking about with a manager who's a friend of mine at my current hotel is that there seems to be so much pushback from ownership. They're so pissed off right now. And this is every hotel, I think, that I've talked to people. I've talked to different people, different friends at different hotels, that the industry just seems so offended that we're fighting back and that we're complaining about shittier hours, poor working conditions, less supplies, and trying to get the same output from us. And the industry, I think, is really bristling at the fact that the union got so much attention this year in the news and in general, and we're still fighting. We have about a third of the hotels signed that are union hotels, and we're pushing on. But
it's amazing. Like the
yeah,
unions need to be stronger,
yeah,
honestly. Like, because I've worked with the unions in Madison, Wisconsin when I was up there. Half
mm,
of my staff was union, and half of it wasn't.
mm,
And these hotels now, it's all about the flat line, the money. They don't care about their employees. They don't care about the customers. They care about saving their own ass, which,
mm,
again, their ass gets saved, our ass gets saved,
of
but
course,
for job security. But yeah, COVID changed it.
yeah,
And
it did. And
people came in with high standards and don't want to pay it. Like
mm,
inflation everywhere except for pay doesn't really make sense, guys.
they just got so used. It's almost like a drug to them after the pandemic. Just skeleton crews, people just being understaffed. And like I said, hotels had that before, but now they just don't want to let it go, and they're so pissed off that we're forcing them to hire the proper amount of staff and get that going. Unions, people look back, fondly at the 50s as this rose-colored glass idealized time in
Oh,
American history. You know what the difference was? Unions were key, and it took decades to get unions to that kind of strength where you would have union automakers. You could work a factory job and have a great life. You could have the ideal house, car, two kids, two and a half kids. You know what I mean? White picket
they were
fence.
protected. They
Yeah,
had someone looking out for them.
exactly. And so many people in hotels don't. And it's sad because throughout the 70s and 80s, of course, a lot of union protections were stripped away and the union protection was devalued, and it was very unfortunate. But we're trying to fight to get that back now because the industry just thinks they can do whatever they want, and hotels now are even skirting the rules when it comes to the union contract rules that they are breaking left and right. And it's like the Geneva Convention. There are the certain rules, things you have to follow, and with
Yeah.
unions, it's kind of the same thing during strikes, and they haven't been doing that, and they've been doing some really horrible things to get back at employees, firing them for
And
just
they're just
stupid
going to
things.
make it that you're literally paying for a room. Like the hospitality and the customer service, it's all going to disappear because you're
Yeah,
going to destroy everybody's character
yeah,
and their
exactly.
passion.
Because if you're fighting, this crazy battle behind the scenes, it's going to be hard to hide it with the guests, and the quality of your service does suffer. Now, you got out of hotels, right? So you got
I've
out of
gotten,
hotels. Because
yeah.
so tell me this. I didn't know you left the state first and foremost. So after you quit, what happened?
So after I quit, I went like into like a medical. I worked at like a fancy medical place in Beverly Hills,
Hmm.
and actually worked with a lot of the people that I worked with at the but on the other side, and that was
Okay.
interesting.
How? What do you
And
mean? What do you mean
then
worked with them on the other side? Did you guys all go there together?
no. Like so, people that were horrible and annoying at the I got to check in and be a part of all the medical records.
Oh God! So they followed you? Is basically what you're saying? We're like, we're gonna
So
make
like
her
they
life
would walk
miserable.
in and like the last time they've seen me was me telling them to like get their coked drunk butt like out of the pool or something. And now I'm like, welcome to your appointment.
Let's do that
It
blood
was
test.
so bizarre. It was so
Wow.
weird.
Oh my God! Did they recognize you?
A few of them did, and thank God they were the ones I really liked.
Okay.
They were just like, "Oh my God, you're here," and I'm like, "Yes, but no, like we can't tell anybody." Like,
Right. So let me ask you this question because we've talked about that before. What's more stressful, working in hotels or working in what is it, the medical field?
oh, hotels easily because
Hotels are more
okay,
stressful than the medical field.
yes, they're way more difficult than the medical field. So, yeah, so jumping in, so I went and worked at another hotel in Santa Monica, the Georgian, which is spectacular. It's so gorgeous.
Right.
And then I broke my collarbone,
Oh, that's
and I came
right.
back to Cincinnati, and I was working in an ER. So everybody I work, the thing is they get paid way less
Mhm.
than front desk at hotels, and you're having to deal with like actual body fluids like flying at you.
Mm. Mm.
But I
Mm.
still found that people were nicer in an ER in like life and death situations than they were at hotels.
Where they make it seem like it's life and death every time they need a new towel or a bottle of
Yes,
water.
that connecting room for your bridesmaids
Oh.
and your 12-year-old's birthday party. I know it's life and death, but
Oh my God.
it's okay.
Yeah. Jeez, I remember that.
But now I'm going to go back into hotels.
Okay, so explain why? Because you got out of hotel. I remember us talking about this when we worked together. You worked in hotels for a number of years, but you got out of it before and came back. Are you just a glutton for punishment?
I think I am. It's like I actually joked in my interview when I interviewed at the Rose that working in hotels is like getting addicted to crack.
Okay.
Like I know it's not good for me, but like it feels so good sometimes, and I just can't get away from it.
Wow.
So yeah, I left hotels for about 4 years, went back, and that's when I was at the and literally this morning I interviewed for another hotel
Oh my
here in
God.
Cincinnati, but it's a dual property, and I've never done a dual property. So for
Hmm.
some reason, that's like my white whale right now. And I'm like, I have to get this job. This sounds so cool to go work at this dual property.
God, we have to do another episode once you started working again. Like just because you get away from it, and you kind of forget. It's traumatic at some points. Sometimes it's very traumatic, but when you get away from it, you kind of get a little numb, and you're like, yeah, I guess I can. I've done it before. I can do it again. You get into it. You're like, why did I do this?
For the money. I'm not
Yeah,
lying. Like,
yeah.
it's 100% for the money. Like,
So in the medical field, you're going to get paid less than you do working at a hotel.
yes, absolutely. A good solid $10 less.
Wow. Well, you're also in Ohio. You're in Cincinnati, so that would explain it.
Even in LA, and even like what you would pay somebody for a front desk here, no. Medical field, like, if basically you're doing check-in like at the front desk, like for registration,
Yeah.
but at a hospital and in an ER, you will get paid less. You get trained way less. Everybody's like, not
What?
just the patients are mean to you, but like the nurses and the doctors are super mean. Like, I thought I was hardcore, but that one was weird. And I was like, I can't get paid this less. I'm like, if I'm going to deal with this, I'm going to go back to hotel.
So, oh my God. So I've heard about that nurse culture. Like it's very toxic. Like, I've read that before. I've heard about that before. How bad is it?
It was wild. And like, you kind of know what like the cliques are like at front desk, like in different
Yeah.
departments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was so much worse.
Oh my
I'm also
God.
the worst person to like try to bully into wanting to be in your clique because I generally don't want to be your friend,
Hmm.
and I'm fine with that. And they got me, man. They did not. They called me stupid, like in front of a patient one time, and I was like, "Yeah, this is not worth it." Okay.
I see. And on the other hand, I am the violent type, so I would throat punch somebody for that. You know, like I would give them the look of death. You know, first and foremost, to let them know to get their shit in order. Wow,
I know
that's
I
messed up.
texted you right when I listened to your first episode that I
Yeah.
am so honored that you told the story about when I like spider monkeyed you.
That's right. Yes. Oh, that's yeah. That does tie in. I forgot
was
about that. Yeah.
so happy.
Oh, because you hated that. You hated to have to do that because, like you said, you're non-confrontational. I am very
Oh,
confrontational,
I
but
am confrontational.
oh,
I'm not physically confrontational though.
oh, I'm both. Like if you know me. We work together, and
Yeah.
it's like if you push my, and it's not even me. Like with me, like I can tell them off. I can tell them to go.
That was a bad situation too. Like, I supported you doing it. I
Oh.
just didn't want to do the paperwork. Like,
Just didn't
it's
want
not
to do
worth
the
it. It's not
paperwork.
worth my time for you to do this.
Oh, there was another thing I didn't talk about from that weekend too that I wanted to discuss whenever I got a chance to get you on the show. Is we had these plexiglass dividers because COVID was still going on and rampaging, right? And I think
Yes.
it might have been that day
This is
or
during the Omicron.
yeah, yeah. Oh my, oh, good old Omi, Omi the homie. But what we still had, well, the thing is, before Omicron, the GM decided to have them take that barrier down. I was livid. I go, COVID is still running rampant. We're still wearing masks. I go, we don't know what's going on. I don't know if the vaccine had just been out for a little bit. And they took it down because they thought it was more aesthetically pleasing. So
It was down for like a week.
Yeah.
And then it took out like our whole staff.
Yeah, well, you know what happened, right? I went to HR. I stormed HR, and I told one of the HR people, I go, look, COVID's still going crazy. I go, you need to get that. I don't care what, the GM says. I go, I want it back up now. It's dangerous out there. Unless you people want to get sued, put it back up. And I
Well, I
stormed
think at
out.
the time, I can't remember who the other front desk managers were with me, but we all we thought about, not thought about, we went in because I totally did it and threatened that we were all going to quit.
Yeah.
Because this is when the night auditor, the FOM, agents, it was right that New Year's time. So
Yeah.
everybody was sick.
Yeah.
And I was just working bananas. I'm like, I need this up here. I'm like, I cannot get sick and I can't get anybody else sick. Like, this is beyond
Yeah.
what it looks like. It's insane. But,
Yep. Now, when I threatened to sue him the next day, it was back up. I came back to work the next day. It was back up. I'm like, yep, this works. And
But you know what? The guests still found a way to get it, to work around it.
oh, I loved when they try to put their face. They had these probably 1 foot by 7 inch openings where you can pass things through. And man, they would try to put their face through that. And this is what I wanted to talk about. One guy who was pissed off during Super Bowl reached in. And he's like, look, this is like me doing this to you. And he grabbed you, and you were at the station. He grabbed your keyboard, and I was to the right of you, and I saw that, and instinctively, I got it. I grabbed it because you were trying to pull it away from me. You were going, no, no. And he's like, kept pulling and try to pull the thing to try to prove a point about
No, I
taking
wanted
something
to
away from
win.
you.
I thought we were arm wrestling. I thought it was...
I remember I reached over with one hand, I pulled it away and slammed it down, and I went, don't do that. And then, because he was trying to prove some stupid point that was out of our control. He was
Oh,
just
I
being
can
an
tell you
asshole.
exactly what it was. I
Oh,
know
what was
exactly
it?
what it was.
What
We had
was
to do
it?
a room move,
Yeah.
and he left his medication in the refrigerator, and he thought that we stole his medication.
Yeah.
No, sir, it was just in your other bag.
Yeah. Doofus. I remember that.
But
Yeah.
he was like, if you steal my medication, I'm stealing your keyboard.
And I'm
I've
like,
never been prouder of a guest in my life. I was
oh
like,
man. I reached over
and
and I slammed that thing down. I'm like, this get back. But that was the same day you leapt on my body. That was the same week. I don't know if it was the same day, but it was the same week. 'Cause I remember it was Super Bowl.
it was super, yeah.
It was the week. It was Super
It
Bowl
was
weekend.
those Bengals fans.
Oh my God.
I hate you. I hate you, the Bengals. I hate you so much. And I live in Cincinnati, and I hate you so much.
Not all
They
the
really
Bengals
represented in Hollywood. They really showed up for me.
They did. They did indeed. Oh my God! But yeah, they were getting pissed. It was an
Yeah.
angry weekend, but it sticks. That's it's not something I
I
can easily
actually
forget.
talked about that in my interview today
Did you really?
because I was talking about it because I think we ended up having like a full cabana, like a last minute like buyout. So it's about like 60 rooms and the pool. Basically, one of the main reasons people come to the pool. And I was
Right.
talking about that. I was like, oh yeah, it was Super Bowl weekend.
It's like Sophia telling her stories from the Golden Girls. Picture this: it was Super Bowl, 2022.
It was so bad.
It was.
And
These
the
people
pre-
were horrible.
oh, I'm so happy the Chargers won. I've never been happier in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, it was a crazy weekend. But no, so many stories like that. Certain events were just such a pain in the ass. I mean, I'm sure you have horror stories, but is there anything specifically you wanted to talk about when it came to like horror stories like that? Anything that sticks out in your mind that I haven't talked about before? Stuff that we went through?
Okay. So
Okay.
this is just a fun. So when you work in hospitality, one of the best things is showing off the hotel you're working in. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
get so excited.
Yeah.
It becomes like your Picasso. You want to show everybody. And my parents came to visit, and I purposely put them into one of the most haunted rooms. I did not tell them. Did not tell them at all.
Oh God.
And the next night, they're like down in the theater because I got them like tickets to one of the shows, and they're like, "So we keep hearing things and like the thermostat." I was like, "Oh, you're actually in the most haunted room in the hotel."
Good luck. It's been nice knowing you. Oh
And just
my
like
God.
ever since then, no one ever wants to come stay at my hotels when I come and visit. Like ask them to come.
Oh my God.
'Cause
Well,
they know I'm gonna screw with them.
Well, the funny thing about that was, I remember the struggle you had to go through to get a fair rate, an employee rate. You threatened to quit. I think you actually did put in your 2 weeks at that
Oh
time
yeah.
because sales was getting all these dirt cheap rates, and they wouldn't give it to you. They're like, no, no, you're getting like next to nothing off.
Yeah.
And sales is just like screwing around, getting their family a week at the hotel for like $100 a day. I'm surprised they didn't. I'm surprised they didn't comp it. And they, who knows? Allegedly, who knows? But who knows if they would have written it off later on? I don't know. But I remember you gave them plenty of time, and you'd never
Oh
done
yeah.
that
I
before.
booked it out like months ahead of time.
Yeah.
And they gave me some da-da-da story. I was like, you know what, whatever. I'm just going to be grateful. My parents are coming. That means they don't have to stay with me. Awesome. And then I think you were on the shift when I saw it. I saw like a family rate come in, and I was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember that you had to threaten you actually put in your 2 weeks, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, that was like the first time they really, really had me going, because I was just like, after everything we've gone through and everything that I've done for you guys, like,
Everything you put me through.
I need a little bit more from you.
Something more equitable. And I remember when your parents came, they were very sweet. I got them cups from the Huntington Library. I remember that.
They still have them. I was trying to find it downstairs, but I don't kitchen very well, so I didn't know where the cups were.
Understood. Probably used to keep away the spirits from the. That was so funny. No, there was a lot of stuff, and I always talk about flirty guests and things like that. Do you have any personal encounters you want to share? Anything fun and sexy?
I think I'm so oblivious to flirting that I don't think guests have ever flirted with me, but also, like, why would you flirt with me? I do remember when we would work shifts, we would do, like, the old divorced married couple bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Yeah, we did. That's how we did.
For, like,
we
the
would do.
newlyweds.
We
We're
would
like,
do
oh, you guys are
bits.
the great. Get divorced. It's going to cost a lot, though.
Yeah, it helped us. We're great now. Stop talking to me. Don't touch me.
Yeah, I don't think guests ever I don't think I put that vibe off of like, hey.
Well, you don't always
I'm
have to
more
put
of
the
a
vibe
like
off.
a leave me alone girl.
Well, it would happen to me surprisingly, but you don't always have to put it out. Sometimes people just, it's a hotel. People get drunk and do things, but no, if not that, God, what
I have
else?
enough trouble trying to controlling the front desk and you guys to even think about having any kind of interactions myself.
Oh, that's disappointing, man.
Like freaking rabbits there. And actually, at every hotel I've been at, I've always had to like watch my front desk. I'm like, God, like just don't get caught, so I don't have to fire you.
Right,
That's
right.
it.
Or make up lies to
Just
hide
don't
the
get
body.
caught, so I have to fire you. Because if you get caught, I have to fire you.
Got to be careful. You got to be slick. You have to have an instinct about it.
Yeah, that's the kind of manager I am. If it's less work for me, I'm all about it.
No, you were good. You were good. We would talk about Fifth of Scotch. I always mention because he was someone that had a lot of potential, but just kind of squandered it, making mistake after mistake after being very disappointed. Because here's the thing with hotels, we talk about failing forward, failing up. That does happen a
Yeah.
lot, and it's you see a lot of memes about extra work just means extra work. Employers these days don't see hard work as anything that's going to get you promoted, and in hotels that's especially true. If you're too good at cleaning up the messes that HR, any other department makes, HR, sales, the GM, if you're good at cleaning up their messes, front office, you're usually going to stay there. That's the problem.
Um. So I didn't. Let me tell you about how I got my first GM job.
Oh God. Okay.
So I had started like part-time front desk, was working, this is in Troy, Ohio, working second shift part-time. And then our GM at the time had like hired her whole family, like her cousins, her aunts, her uncles, like they were like our housekeeping staff, our pool, like everything.
Fun.
And so she ends up getting an offer for a job faxed to the hotel from a non-compete. I love rules. And again, if you're going to not be good to me, I will not be good to you. So clearly I'm going to show the owner
That's fair.
that you're getting a job offer delivered to the hotel. So she leaves and the whole entire staff is gone. Like it is literally me and a night auditor. That is all we have
Whoa.
at this hotel.
So wait. They hired
Go for
her
it.
and her whole family left?
They fired her, and then, so before she got fired, she fired her family.
Why? Why would she do that?
Because it's Troy, Ohio, and they're just like, if you're going to screw me over, I'm going to screw my whole family over.
Whoa, so she got fired because it was her family essentially that had to fire her.
No, so it was owned by somebody else.
Okay.
But her family, so the GM, like when she got hired, she hired all of her family to come work at the hotel.
Okay. Oh, so the GM is the one that got the offer from a non-compete?
Yes.
Oh, so a non-compete, explain what a non-compete is.
So a non-compete is basically, so at the time there's only like 4 hotels in the city that I was working in.
Right.
And so a non-compete is saying that once you work for us, you cannot go work at these other hotels in the same capacity as like a front desk agent for like 6 months or a year or some kind of said time. And you also cannot solicit work from companies that are coming in, because this was definitely a corporate hotel. So we had, people from like Toyota and GE and Harbor Freight. Like it was a big one. And she had gotten an offer from a client that stayed at our hotel and had it faxed to the hotel's fax.
Jeez. Who intercepted that?
I did. And I was like, you're an idiot.
Oh, and then you turned her into the ownership, or who?
I had turned it because you have to turn in all the facts. And so it comes in on the receipt. So I had to be like, hey, here are the faxes. Also, there's one for Stacy. And it's from, I think it was like Goodyear at the time. Wow. And so she got fired before the word got out. She fired her whole family. So there's no support staff anymore at the hotel.
Whoa.
And this is a tiny hotel,
Damn.
so it's not that. I mean, it's a big deal, but
scorched
not a
earth,
big deal.
man. Scorched earth. She just like, her family must have been pissed.
Oh, it was magic.
Talk about burning every single bridge. And so then they made you GM.
You would think.
Okay.
But no. they made me a GM, and they hired some other person,
Assistant GM.
and they trained her opposite of me. So she was working the AM shifts, I worked the PM shifts while they were getting her trained. And it was like Friday night. I had the weekend off. So I was like, okay, bye. A guest had to jump the desk, go find our phone list. And I was the first one on the list because I'm Allison. They found her passed out in the employee bathroom because she was huffing our cleaning products.
That sounds about right. Oh my
And that is
God.
how I got my first GM job.
All thanks to huffing and poor decisions
Yeah.
at work.
So I went in and like I had to call the owners, and I worked the rest of the weekend and all this stuff. And like that night before we put out like hot hors d'oeuvres, they like, do you want to be GM? I'm like, I don't think any of us have a choice.
I mean, sure. Why not?
So yeah, failing up. I literally worked at the front desk like part time for like 3 months, six
Oh my
months maybe.
God.
So yeah, when people fail up, it's really not something great. Like good. I have all the respect for them because that takes a good ambition, but it's really not worth it.
God, it's like I can't imagine you being a GM after all that and just being, well, I'm at the top now. Were you a front desk assistant manager that went to GM, or were you a front desk agent
I was a front desk agent.
that went to GM? Wow, talk about Prince and the Pauper. Good Lord.
Yeah. And
That's
so once I
crazy.
kind of plateaued in that position of like me learning what I could out of what they were giving me,
Yeah.
that's when I left and went to Marriott and have been just like working my way back to the strength of like, ah. So when you guys would talk about like not getting trained, and like, I feel you, and I hate that. That's why I hate training, but I love making a good process.
Right, right. No, for sure. So, did you make a good GM? Because that's kind of the fantasy of every front desk agent who's tired of their hotel's bullshit. They're like, look, if I ran things, this is how I would do it. So did you have those? Did you get to do that as a GM, even of a smaller property?
I mean, yeah, but it's your whole life.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't go to sleep until I was checking like people that are checking in. I remember I was at a baseball game. I was out of town at a baseball game, and I saw that we had a perfect sell, and I like went wild. I was so excited, and I couldn't tell you who won that game, but I can tell you I had a perfect sell that night.
So what happens when you have a perfect sell in a hotel in terms of upper management? Who gets bonuses? How does that work?
So the world in LA is very different than the industries that I've worked in. Like there's nothing. I mean, as a GM, I get a perfect sell. I get to keep my job.
Okay.
Like that's it. Like there's not a lot of things. And at the I never saw a single bonus. Never. Was constantly told that we would get this and that and this. I never got a single increase. I never got a bonus at no hotel I've ever gotten it. I think once I got one for like it was like a sales one, and that was only because I actually had my contract. I brought in the sales contract and my name was on it. That's the only reason I got the commission for that one.
Well, it's funny.
Hotels are shitty.
No, it's true. You know all those memes about like pizza parties and all that stuff. Like, stop giving me a pizza party. I'm not 4 years old. Yeah, that happens a lot in hotels. They want to like, we're going to reward you with cheap food. Like, get
Yeah,
the
or a
hell.
bowling party.
No, we never got a bowling party. Not while I was there.
I'm so mad. No, bowling party at like Lucky Strike, not the spare room bowling party.
Spare room was a very fancy bowling alley inside the bar area in the as a property is a gorgeous, gorgeous, stunning property. But to work there, it's a shit show and a cluster of the highest
I
order.
tell people to go visit the venues. I'm like, but don't ever work there and don't stay there because they do not care.
They do not. Yeah, no bowling parties, nothing like that. They would give us pizza, and we're like, dude, just stop. I've done.
I
some
missed
of
the
that.
holiday party.
I
You
didn't.
weren't there when they did holiday parties, were they?
No, the whole time I was there for like a year and a half, they didn't do them because it was still, still close to COVID.
The last time I was in LA, I definitely went and stopped it. Like I still love that hotel.
Yeah, the hotel's great. You just want to choke some of the people that work there with you sometimes.
I went into the back offices, and the night manager that I hated had brought in donuts that day, and I proudly ate one.
Good, good. I hope it was jelly filled.
It was so good. I was like, the little bastard. I still hate him. I hate him so much.
Yeah, it's just it's not even the act. See, and then here's the thing. It's I know what you're saying. It's not even the act of what he did, but it's how he went about telling on you and tattling. That was such an
Yeah.
obnoxious thing, and he's still doing that to other people. That's a
Good
problem.
for
I've heard
him.
recently he's still screwing over coworkers. I can't stand people like that. And like I said, I'm having to deal with that like at the moment at my property, and it's like, good God, people, just handle it like an adult. Talk to me, discuss it. Don't just try to have another agenda. But that's just how it is, unfortunately.
Like,
But
I'm gonna cry, but I'm gonna cry at home. You won't know.
in terms of hospitality, what advice would you give somebody wanting to get into it, who's either going to school for it or just coming in fresh off the street? What advice would you give them to kind of survive and thrive in the industry?
I say don't go to school for it. I think it's a waste of money. I think there's plenty of certifications. Like, go to school, go to college, go to school. I wouldn't necessarily think of majoring in it
Right.
because
It makes no
I,
difference.
I
It makes no difference in hotels if you go to school or not.
I think it. I mean, it does and it doesn't. Like, I've gotten my personal career. I've gotten way farther without going to school than a lot of people that I know that have gone to school.
A lot of times people who go to school with it, they're told they're given a certain bill of sale. They're told like this is the way it's going to be, this is how you act, and this is what will happen. When they get to the job and they actually do the job, they go, this isn't what I signed up for, and they find another career because it gives you a
Yeah,
false sense of what the industry is. And the industry is grinding and it is hard and it is tough and people are mean. People are very
yeah,
mean. And I think people aren't ready for that and they're sold something different when they go to school for it. But if you start like just from the ground up, the people you work with aren't going to lie to you like your teachers will, or whatever school you're going to. They're going to tell you how it is. Like, look, you're going to have to be tough because A, B, and C is going to happen. We're understaffed. We don't have enough supplies, and the second floor is flooded. Good luck. You know.
yeah. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. It's
Mm-mm.
okay to cry, and people are crazy.
Yeah, people are nuts, and
That's something I'm going through with my brother right now, is because he works in hotels, and I'm like
mm,
dying, and I'm just like, yeah, people are crazy. I don't know what to tell you.
yeah, and it's a way to commiserate because there's no words to kind of explain what you go through a lot of the times when every situation is different, but it's a different kind of crazy every time. It's nothing you can prepare for. All you can do is just kind of say to yourself, this might go south at every check-in because you
yeah.
never know. And people that start very friendly and nice can be the most vicious monsters when they don't get what they want. And on the flip side, which is kind of cool, is that people that you think are going to be kind of like horrible end up being some of the nicest, kindest people. They bring you donuts, they bring you food. The other day, a guest brought homemade because they were taking a donut making class. So they brought us a bunch of homemade donuts. Like, we can't eat all these. Please take it. We're like, yes, donuts in the back. So sweet.
I
There's a
used
lot
to
of
have
sweet
a lady
stuff.
from New York
Hmm.
bring me the black and white cookies,
Oh yeah, I remember
and
that. I
I
remember that.
love those.
Yeah, that was right.
I've met two people in my career. One was in Madison, and then one at the that
Hmm.
like I had mentioned. I think it's like when she was calling and something was going on, and the people just wanted to be listened to. And she was talking about how she was going to Zazabars or something. And I was like, oh my god, you've had the black and white cookies, right? And she's like, of course.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, I love them. And she brought them to me at check-in.
oh, that's so
I was
sweet.
like, this is the best.
That is great. Stuff like that is very sweet, and that does happen. That's great, but
Mhm.
it kind of helps soothe the bad situations. And what advice would you give somebody dealing with a lot of bad times, bad management at your hotel? To anybody out there in their own hotel that's going through that.
It's not you. Like, it's really not you. Like, you could just be the wall to them right now when they're doing the things. So just not taking it personally is the biggest thing.
Right. And how do you think someone is successful in hotels? How do you become a success in whatever department you're in? If you want to move up, if you want to be in another department, what's the best advice you could give somebody, you think?
I think just always remembering to smile. Like, it sounds silly, but your whole demeanor and your essence of everything, like, just smile. And it can change who you're talking to. It can change how you perceive it. It changes the tone of voice. Uh, I can teach somebody a program. I can't teach somebody a smile. So if you want to be in hospitality, be ready to have that like shit-eating grin on your face all the time.
I know. And one thing that's always helped me is I'm very sarcastic. And a lot of the English travelers kind of respect that because I think it's from what they told me, it's more of an English thing when, you're sharp, not mean, but when you can kind of be snarky and kind of give it right back to people. Because a lot of times that'll put them in their place before they think they can overstep because you're being so nice. And I don't, like I said,
Yeah.
there has to be a certain amount of clever to it. You have to be kind of clever. And I remember at the someone came up to me and I go checking in and they go, well, how'd you guess? And I go, all the luggage and the attitude. And she kind of got a kick out of that, and she's like, "Oh!" And then she became friendly. Sometimes you got to put people in their place in the proper way, so they respect you. Because a lot of people will come in and think you're a doormat. So I think
Well,
on
because
top of that,
I think when a guest comes in, they think that they're just a number in a room to us. And
yeah,
it's not. You're not a number
no,
in a room. You're
a
in an
potential problem.
interaction. Yeah. And I
And I'm
want
gonna
to nip
try
it in
and
the butt and be
yeah,
friends.
exactly. No, it's true. Yeah, nip it in the bud. You're a potential problem, so I'm gonna do what I can to kind of avoid that at first because that's hard for everybody. And if I can do that,
Yeah.
cool. If not, I'm gonna give you a shitty room.
And even if you are super nice, I'm really sorry, but we had to downgrade you today, and it's right above the bowling alley. But here's some tickets for
Oh,
drinks.
I forgot about that. There were rooms in the that are above that bowling alley, and man, it's really loud in there. Oh, if you're going to the just make sure they don't put you above the bowling alley. That was always a
Just don't
problem.
stay there.
Just don't stay there. Go visit the venue. Yeah, visit the venue, but
Go
don't
visit
stay
the
there.
venue, go to their concert, go to their parties,
Which are great. Which are great.
all of
You
it.
don't want to
It's
stay there.
amazing. Don't stay there.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's trouble. Oh my God. So, any closing remarks? Anything that you particularly want to share, or anything that touched you, or any of our time working together that sticks with you? That's a good thing.
Just thank you for having me. Like
Of course.
I work for my staff. I always love that and staying in contact. And I don't know. I'm just so proud of my little babies.
Oh, we do. We try our best, and we try not to hurt the guests. You know how it is.
Oh,
But
don't let me down.
no, no, no. Unless you see me in jail. But I should be fine.
Yeah, but you no longer have me and those glass pillars or the plastic pillars to stop you.
I know to spider monkey me because literally I was gonna jump on a guest for being disrespectful and I was gonna go after her and then I dropped my jacket and she literally leapt on me sideways and clenched down. She's like, no time, no. That will never leave me. That was a very special bonding moment.
I think I do wish that I did like the shh. It's okay.
I was moving too fast. I was moving too
Could you
fast for
imagine
that.
though if I spider monkeyed and then just like sat you there, like in front of the guests, in front of everybody, just going shh.
I would have choked you then.
Oh, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Missed opportunities, I'll tell you. But Allison, thank you so much for being part of the show. Give Lady a big hug and kiss for me. And if you're in town, I'd love to have you in on the show on the set so we can continue this. But
Hopefully soon.
hopefully so. So if you're gonna get, let me ask you this. So if you're gonna get into hotels, are you gonna try and transfer back to LA? Is LA the goal?
LA is not the goal. I think Seattle's the goal.
Okay.
But I mean, you know me. Who knows? I'll be in like Florida next. Not Florida. I'm not going to Florida. Who knows? I never know where I'm gonna go.
Understood. Well, God bless you on your travels. All the best. If you're at my hotel, let me know. I'll get you in and I'll get you a better room. Of course.
I will.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Ty Justice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at check-in. That manager that we're talking about would say after every shift, well, we got through another one. We did it. And after a while, I'm like, dude, we say that every day, man. And it was literally an everyday occurrence. And it was like that every day. Like, oh, we made it through another one. Yeah, but how many days do we want to just survive, man? It was intense, but it was a constant thing. It was something that did not go away.
That just like breaks my heart to hear about. Actually, like that hotel was so amazing, and you guys are so awesome. Like I've never had a front desk team like you guys. It was insane.
Oh, thank you. No, we were great. We had our moments, and that's the silver lining. All the trouble and everything, if we had a stronger front office manager, I think it would have been fine. I think everything would have been a lot easier.
Well, I ran into when I was there in when did I go out there? September. I stopped at the road and I ran into the GM
Oh my God.
And he's like, how's it going? And I'm like, I literally just like was speechless. I like thought about not even talking to him. I'm like, get
Oh,
off my lawn.
get out my lawn. Get him, lady. Get him.
Oh my God, hold on. Lady has been outside the door crying.
Oh, bring her in. Bring her in. I want to say hi. I don't know if she can. I don't know if she can see me or remember my voice. Lady. Oh my God, lady. How are you, baby? Oh, there we go. We're gonna put that in the show.
Oh,
Oh,
she was looking for you.
oh my girl. Where's my lady? I can't wait for you
Oh,
guys to come back. Oh my God.
she's a certified therapy dog now.
Oh, that suit that fits. She's such a great dog. Oh, I
Oh,
miss her so much. That she was whenever she was there, I would sit on the floor with her during our pre-shift meetings, and then she would be there. I would just hold on to her, and it was just the greatest way to start a shift. Oh
she's the
man.
best. I know. Who is that?
Oh my goodness, poor thing. I'm going to confuse her. But no, it was great having you on. You had a lot of great stories, and there's so many stories to tell, and everybody has a different angle. Everybody has a different
Right?
story, and it's the best.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys. It's great to see you.
Bye.
Bye, sweetie pie. I'll see you guys real soon. You take care, and I'll see you at check-in.